was Sally?' The small servant screwed her face into an expression of the very uttermost entanglement of slyness, and shook her head. 'What? Haven't you seen her lately?' said Dick. 'Seen her?' cried the small servant. 'Bless you, I've run away.' Mr Swiveller immediately laid himself down again quite flat, and so remained for about 5 minutes. By slow degrees he resumed his sitting posture after that lapse of time, and inquired, 'And where do you live, Marchioness?' 'Live!' cried the small servant. 'Here!' 'Oh!' said Mr Swiveller, and with that he fell down flat again, as suddenly as if he had been shot. Thus he remained, motionless and bereft of speech, until she had finished her meal, put everything in its place, and swept the hearth, when he motioned her to bring a chair to the bedside, and, being propped up again, opened a farther conversation. 'And so,' said Dick, 'you have run away?' 'Yes,' said the Marchioness, 'and they've been a-tizing of me.' 'Been, I beg your pardon?' said Dick. 'What have they been doing?' 'Been a-tizing of me. Tizing, you know, in the newspapers,' rejoined the Marchioness. 'Ay, ay,' said Dick. 'Advertising?' The small servant nodded and winked. Her eyes were so red with waking and crying that the tragic muse might have winked with greater consistency, and so Dick felt. 'Tell me,' said he, 'how was it that you thought of coming here?' 'Why, you see,' returned the Marchioness, 'when you was gone, I hadn't any friend at all, because the lodger he never come back, and I didn't know where either him or you was to be found, you know. But one morning when I was ' 'Was near a keyhole?' suggested Mr Swiveller, observing that she faltered. 'Well then,' said the small servant, nodding, 'when I was near the office keyhole, as you see me through, you know, I heard somebody saying that she lived here, and was the lady whose house you lodged at, and that you was took very bad, and wouldn't nobody come and take care of you. Mr Brass, he says, it's no business of mine, he says, and Miss Sally, she says, he's a funny chap, but it's no business of mine. And the lady went away, and slammed the door to when she went out, I can tell you. So I run away that night, and come here, and told them you was my brother, and they believed me, and I've been here ever since.' 'This poor little Marchioness has been wearing herself to death,' cried Dick. 'No, I haven't,' she returned. 'Not a bit of it. Don't you mind about me. I like sitting up, and I've often had a sleep, bless you, in one of them chairs. But if you could have seen how you tried to jump out of the window, and if you could have heard how you used to keep on singing and making speeches, you wouldn't have believed it. I'm so glad you're better, Mr Liverer.' 'Livering indeed,' said Dick thoughtfully. 'It's well I am a liverer. I strongly suspect I should have died, Marchioness, but for you.' At this point Mr Swiveller took the small servant's hand in his again, and being, as we have seen, but poorly, might in struggling to express his thanks have made his eyes as red as hers, but that she quickly changed the theme by making him lie down and urging him to keep very quiet. 'The doctor,' she told him, 'said you was to be kept quite still, and there was to be no noise nor nothing. Now, take a rest, and then we'll talk again. I'll sit by you, you know. If you shut your eyes, perhaps you'll go to sleep. You'll be all the better for it if you do.' The Marchioness, in saying these words, brought a little table to the bedside, took her seat at it, and began to work away at the concoction of some cooling drink, with the address of a score of chemists. Richard Swiveller, being indeed fatigued, fell into a slumber, and waking in about half an hour, inquired what time it was. 'Just gone 6:30, replied his small friend, helping him to sit up again. 'Marchioness,' said Richard, passing his hand over his forehead, and turning suddenly round, as though the subject but that moment flashed upon him, 'what has become of Kit?
He had been sentenced to transportation for a great many years, she said.
'Has he gone?' asked Dick. 'His mother, how is she? What has become of her?'
His nurse shook her head, and answered that she knew nothing about them.
'But if I thought,' said she, very slowly, 'that you keep quiet, and not put yourself into another fever, I could tell you, but I won't now.'
'Yes, do,' said Dick. 'It will amuse me.'
'Oh, would it though?'
rejoined the small servant with a horrified look.
'I know better than that. Wait till you're better, and then I'll tell you.'
Dick looked very earnestly at his little friend, and his eyes, being large and hollow from illness, assisted the expression so much that she was quite frightened, and besought him not to think any more about it. What had already fallen from her, however, had not only piqued his curiosity, but seriously alarmed him, wherefore he urged her to tell him the worst at once.
'Oh, there's no worst in it,' said the small servant. 'It hasn't anything to do with you.' 'Has it anything to do with Is it anything you heard through chinks or keyholes, and that you were not intended to hear?' asked Dick, in a breathless state. 'Yes,' replied the small servant. 'In Bevis Marks,' pursued Dick hastily. 'Conversations between Brass and Sally?' 'Yes,' cried the small servant again. Richard Swiveller thrust his lank arm out of bed, and, gripping her by the wrist and drawing her close to him, bade her out with it, and freely too, or he would not answer for the consequences, being wholly unable to endure the state of excitement and expectation. She, seeing that he was greatly agitated, and that the effects of postponing her revelation might be much more injurious than any that were likely to ensue from its being made at once, promised compliance, on condition that the patient kept himself perfectly quiet, and abstained from starting up or tossing about. 'But if you begin to do that,' said the small servant, 'I'll leave off, and so I'll tell you.'
'You can't leave off till you have gone on,' said Dick. 'And do go on, there's a darling. Speak, sister, speak. Pretty Polly, say. Oh, tell me when, and tell me where, pray, Marchioness, I beseech you.' Unable to resist these fervent adjurations, which Richard Swiveller poured out as passionately as if they had been of the most solemn and tremendous nature, his companion spoke thus.
'Well, before I ran away, I used to sleep in the kitchen, where we played cards, you know. Miss Sally used to keep the key of the kitchen door in her pocket, and she always come down at night to take away the candle and rake out the fire. When she'd done that, she left me to go to bed in the dark, locked the door on the outside, put the key in her pocket again, and kept me locked up till she come down in the morning, very early I can tell you, and let me out. I was terrible afraid of being kept like this, because if there was a fire I thought they might forget me, and only take care of themselves, you know. So whenever I see an old rusty key anywhere, I pick it up and tried if it would fit the door. And at last I found in the dust cellar a key that did fit it.'
Here Mr Swiveller made a violent demonstration with his legs, but the small servant immediately pausing in her talk, he subsided again, and pleading momentary forgetfulness of their compact, entreated her to proceed.
'They kept me very short,' said the small servant. 'Oh, you can't think how short they kept me. So I used to come out at night after they'd gone to bed, and feel about in the dark for bits of biscuit or sandwiches that you'd left in the office, or even pieces of orange peel to put into cold water and make believe it was wine. Did you ever taste orange peel and water?'
Mr Swiveller replied that he had never tasted that ardent liquor, and once more urged his friend to resume the thread of her narrative.
'If you make believe very much, it's quite nice,' said the small servant. 'But if you don't, you know, it seems as if it would bear a little more seasoning, certainly. Well, sometimes I used to come out after they'd gone to bed, and sometimes before, you